I looked it up. July 11th. It was almost 1 year ago today. Well, not today, but
we had a good conversation after that.
Yeah.
Want some patience?
From Erie Zone Government Access, Channel 9, from the City Hall Council Chambers, it's time once again for the Taxpayers Hotline Show. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your host.
Well, here we are. What do we call ourselves? The Three Amigos?
Or
Something like that.
Three Musketeers? Or
Three Musketeers. I like that one
better than the Three Piglets or something.
That's right.
Three Musketeers, and they can call me Don Quixote.
You look like Don Quixote.
Well, years ago, I was christened Don Quixote by the Times.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was a proud thing. I went out and bought a statue and put it in my office as a reminder.
They love you at the Erie Times.
Well, not really. You mean the Butler Bugle?
Yeah, a few people.
The Butler Bugle.
But here's my good friend
John Steiner. How's everybody doing?
Good to have you back, and my regular friend
Dave Paradiso from Cat TV.
And we're gonna have. I think we're gonna have a spirited debate.
Spirited discussion today.
Well, we should. I mean, there's a lot. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it should be interesting today.
A lot on the news.
Well, we were off last week, so yeah.
We may be. I got to tell you, we may be off next week. I'm not quite sure yet.
Yeah.
I have to check.
Okay.
I might have family business next week, so it's getting kind of crazy because it's the end of summer. And
Mrs. Kaz ready to take a road trip? Or?
Well, with the kids all out of town, yeah, that's what usually happens.
Where are you guys thinking about going this time?
Probably Allentown.
Allentown? How was Allentown?
We were trying to get to Mississippi, but, with air service being like it is and
too far away and too much of a wait.
We couldn't get a good rate, and the timing was wrong because they go to school early down in some of these southern states.
Yeah, right. They go like middle of August.
Yeah, they start a lot earlier.
Yeah, right. And the people around here, we don't start till after Labor Day. Well, Central, I was talking to Frank Petrunga from the school board, and he's thinking hoping that they're going to have the school ready by the time the school year opens. But they have some backup plans up there. They got some trailers where they're going to, the classrooms that were damaged by the fire, they'll go out there and then they're going to do some stuff with the Vote Tech and bus some of the kids out there for their shop classes and different things like that. So he said they had over 3,300 volunteers that came out for the Serve Erie event up at the school.
Well, that's a pretty good turnout then. I hope building the school back up. It's kind of cool.
Absolutely.
I know some of those volunteers.
I've seen a bunch throughout the city, a lot of them with the T-shirts and a lot of people, going different places.
Yeah.
I think, go ahead. Do you want to be the phone man?
It's that one, right?
Yeah. Oh, what happened?
They hung up, not me.
Please call back. I don't know.
Yeah, try to call again.
They were saying that they had a lot of people from McDowell and Fairview School District, and so it wasn't just a city endeavor. They had people from all around the county. They had some of the...
John, the sooner we realize that we are all each other's keepers.
Right.
Everybody thinks things are golden, but, we have a county that's declining in population.
Yeah.
We all got to work together to keep things going.
Yeah, but nobody believes. See, if you live out in and I'm not blaming them, okay? If you live out in the suburbia, you think, wow, everything's okay. You go up to Peach Street, wow, everything's okay.
Yeah.
But, if you do a little talking around town, you find out, well, why doesn't this thing come into Erie? Because we're declining in population.
Yeah, we don't need people here as what we used to have.
Well, people, you got to remember, like, whenever a business looks to relocate, they don't know the particulars of what's going on. It's a demographic sheet that they have in front of them with statistics and numbers.
Recently, I had a long talk, John, with a guy, and I said, people come up to me all the time. They go, why don't we have another movie theater? Why don't we have a grocery store? Why don't we have these kind of restaurants? And why don't these people do this? And all good ideas. But at the end of the day, when you do a business model, you got to say, do I have the market to do it?
Right.
Yeah, if the business is going to be viable and be able to, the area to be able to sustain the business. I mean, the other thing is to cover the overhead of a business.
I mean, you have to have people with disposable income.
Remember, the hottest rumor was Cheesecake Factory was coming.
Yeah.
And I think that was really
they were probably looking into the area, and then they just...
Well, they look at it, but they say, yeah, you got all this tourism in a set period of time. But January to April or January to March,
You don't have the tourism as much.
Not as much, and is your area big enough to support it. And, we're about 279. But I talk to some people that bring things in, and they go, it's not the county they even look at. They look at the urbanized area. And our urbanized area is less than 200,000.
Yeah, it's declining more and more.
I highly doubt if a cheesecake factory would open in the downtown area, to be honest with you. That's more of a...
You think they would?
No.
Well, they were looking at the mall, which was even...
No, that's...
They were talking about, the rumor was upstairs of the old...
I meant the city of Erie, not, but definitely up in the Summit and the mall area. That's, it's...
They said, even adjusting for all that,
Yeah,
when you think about it, the city is still 100,000 people almost. Mm-hmm. That's a large volume of your urbanized area.
Right.
And but like you said, you look at the demographics, how much money is there, what's the average income, and should it come as a surprise?
Well, what's the number one business moving? What's the number one chain of stores moving into the city itself?
Dollar General.
Dollar General.
But then that's true. When you look around the country, see people, I'm going to say this because it's going to come out anyway.
Yeah.
A lot of people are tossing a lot of blame this week.
Yeah.
Well, if you look around the country and you look everywhere, okay, Dollar General is growing.
Yeah, the dollar stores are what's growing. I mean, Dollar Tree, Dollar General,
right.
Family Dollar.
And
because they're the lower, the cheaper prices. Same with like Walmart. That's why Walmart's growing as big as it's gotten, is because they push to have their prices lower than everybody else.
And Walmart's even in trouble in different parts of the country.
Yeah.
So, I mean, these are corporate decisions.
Right.
And I will stand by my statement that every time you hear about some politician, you never see me there. I'm not going to say this. I'll never stand there and say I brought one job into Erie, because I don't. I might create the environment, but I myself have never created one job.
Well, see that,
I'll let you really go at it. But I didn't see one person when they closed down things. You never see anybody there going, it happened on my watch.
Right.
You won't see that.
Well, you have different organizations that are, you're right, it's not government's job to create jobs, it's to create the environment.
Right.
For jobs but it's getting to the point where government might have to step up and start doing a little bit more.
Well, we all know, let's get to the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
1 year ago, I think it was about 1 year ago, right?
About a year ago, yeah.
You predicted,
Yeah.
that GE was going to leave town.
Well, we had heard that people were being sent here from GE, and when it happened, I looked it up it was July 11th, and that they were here. They sent 2 people here, and they were in the process of shutting the plant down. And sure enough, a year later, this is what we have to deal with. But
they're shutting down production of the plant. I mean, it's going to be a prototype plant.
But here's the thing: is it government's fault? Is it anybody's upstairs fault? Is it anybody? No, it's not.
It's the fault is the globalization. I mean, they've basically pushed the company where it's cheaper to go to China.
The free market society is killing us.
Exactly. That's exactly what kills us.
And then people, even a lot of Democrats, I'm voting for Trump. Yeah. Trump, he's going to stop this. That's it. No more. He's too busy firing and hiring. He thinks he's on The Apprentice still.
Yeah.
He's got to realize
but the thing is,
the biggest problem is the stuff that's already in place. That's not what's being repealed or being shut down. I mean, we haven't had tariffs in years. We've been so much of a global society and global economy that it's hurt us so bad that it's hard to come back from that.
Well, if anything, the state and the federal government have bent over backwards to help GE. They don't pay any taxes.
Right.
They don't pay anything. And they get subsidies and they get all this and all that from the state and from the federal government.
But they want the big plum.
What's that?
You know what it is. The one thing Texas has that we don't have.
Oh, they have.
They can have it where they don't have to have unions.
That's it.
The right to work.
And that's another problem. Our states, we don't have a codified,
But then, you look at it, if you're willing to accept that, okay, you got to remember that
there should be a balance in between, and I think that's the problem.
It's a giant game in this country, okay?
Exactly.
It's just like football stadiums. When you see a team move, we build you a new stadium, better, and so this city's out of luck. And even if we were to go to the right to work state, okay, they're not going to sit there and, take that. So, it's
No,
going to
they're
be.
going to fight it for somewhere else.
Yeah, and
it's like I'd read an article about a week ago on, New York's declining on manufacturing. They've been declining for years, just like Pennsylvania. And basically what Trump's like, or even other politicians have said, well, it's not growing here. That's growing over here in this other state. If you want to have a better job, move to the other state. Instead of, let's change the environment so then we have this stuff come back.
Well, the Rust Belt has been crumbling for years, but
it's getting worse day by day.
A lot of the cities are starting to make rebounds. Cleveland's rebounded, and I think Buffalo consolidated all.
Yes, they did a lot
county.
of that.
But they're not doing.
There's not nothing majorly new coming through though.
They're not really doing manufacturing though.
Yeah. Well,
No.
they just you got to give it time to happen.
So I mean, you got to get. I guess what we have to agree on is that if you're willing to work for a little bit less, but then the trouble is the only thing that offsets that is growth.
Yeah.
If you got a town like Charlotte, which is let's say on the average they're making less, most people, or in North Carolina, but you got all those people coming there. Okay, it kind of makes up for it. But if things are going to remain the same here, the same amount of people making less money, that's not going to work.
Well, the thing is the cost of living is, there's too much of an offset between the cost of living and what it costs to live the place, and then what people are getting paid to be able to try to even just to survive on a decent wage, decent pay to be able just to get by.
Raleigh and Charlotte are the two fastest growing cities in the country.
Well, when my father-in-law moved to Roanoke, I couldn't believe the breaks he got as a retiree.
Is it good or?
It was good, yeah.
I mean, that's a good thing. I mean, that's one thing about Erie. Our cost of living here is
they did
fair.
things like they taxed things that we didn't tax. Okay, they did there was a different mix. In Virginia though, they have no townships or boroughs. You're either an independent city like Norfolk, Richmond, Roanoke, Charlottesville, et cetera, Alexandria, or you're a part of the county. That you're just a county.
Right.
Well, let's hopefully. Go ahead, caller.
Well, I'm calling. I'm glad John Steiner is on the program. I certainly voted for him, and I can't believe the citizens of Erie weren't smart enough to vote for him. I've seen him on your program several times. He always seems to have the right answers. He's on the inside track. And when I read about him and all the things he's done, the organizations he's been involved with, I certainly voted for him. It angered me that he didn't win, because the Erie voters aren't the smartest voters, in the world, and we all know that. But John, you deserve that. So.
Well, I appreciate the call.
Your name recognition wasn't out. I don't know why the Democrats didn't spend a bundle of dough on you. They should have. But, okay. Another thing. The president of GE Union, he endorsed Donald Trump. You remember that? Yeah, he endorsed Donald Trump. And I can't remember in the history of the United States when a Republican did anything for a working person or a middle-class person.
You're absolutely right. It's just gotten to the point where it's not even like Republican, Democrat anymore. It's rich versus poor. And the gap is widening, and the Republicans are doing everything they can to just take everything and leave inner city people with nothing. They want lower wages. A lot of people, you talked about the unions at GE. A lot of people get on the unions. You're greedy, you're this, you're that. But if it's not for the unions, they're not going to pay you a respectable wage. See, what happens is when profit and your shareholders are more important than your workers and the community, then you're in trouble. And that's where, it's a federal problem. They're donating all this money, and when the shareholders come before the workers and communities, our communities, certain communities are going to continue to fall.
You've seen it happen with Lords.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lords left here for a different reason now.
Yeah, but
Lords, we could have had Lords. We should have had Lords. Lords didn't want to go. You know that, Kaz.
yeah.
I mean, they didn't want to go. But people, you know, things...
Okay, I'm going to hang up and let somebody else call.
Thanks for what you said. I appreciate it. Well, you know, I did run, Kaz, and I'm glad you ran.
No,
I'm glad you won.
John, I know you worked hard. I was out there with you.
Yeah.
We walked the same streets together some nights.
Yeah. We didn't get mugged or anything. We
did too.
Knocked on some doors and talked to some people, but a couple other people won. So, you know, people.
It wasn't for lack of trying. I'll give you that.
No, I mean, I worked really hard, and so did you. I mean, we were all out, but you know, the people made their decision. And do I think? Well, when only 25% of the people come out to vote, I mean, this was a major election for this city.
I think a lot of people were. When you get that many people running, it's like confusing.
Yeah, there was a lot. Well, what happened? Yeah. Well, I was seventh on the ballot.
That doesn't help.
No, I mean, you were up top, and Jimmy. I knew you guys were going. I mean, you guys.
There's a little story behind that too.
Oh God!
I told you one night. You know, that almost didn't happen.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you got.
Yeah.
But no, I'll stand by my statement. If you were to bring it right to work, and I don't say I agree with it.
Right.
But you watch.
Right.
You know, when you look at the states that are doing well,
right,
that stands out, you know.
Right.
And people got to decide, you know, if you want a right to work state, then you better get a lot of people coming in here to take, because you're talking about, you know, whether you like unions or whether, the people that have disposable income, okay, when they don't have that, okay, they're not going to Ricardo's restaurant. They're not going to Longhorn.
Well, I'll tell you right
They're
now.
not going to the movie theater. They're not going to the SeaWolves.
They're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And you know, well, with Texas, you got Mexico right down the street.
And yep.
So those guys come over,
and they're willing to work.
And they'll work for peanuts.
Legally, they're willing to work.
They'll work for peanuts.
Yeah. Well, when you're in San Diego, they'll cross the border.
They do that a lot of farmers around here. That's how the farmers get like a lot of the grapes tied. Yeah. They'll hire the Mexicans or whoever, the immigrants around. They do all that manual labor just because we need to get done anyway.
Yeah, they're not illegal. They're coming over.
Yeah, we have people illegal ones, but the thing is, they're willing to do that type of work.
If you're legal and you're coming over and you're doing that work, I'm not
right.
No.
But I mean, the people here, the wage to be able to do that is not a feasible wage for somebody here to be able to live off and do that type of work.
Well, you know, even the guys at the union cast for GE 506. Yeah. They get upset at their fellow, you know, union brothers as well. You know, they understand, you know, we got to make concessions. We got to give, but they don't want to give. And sometimes they get greedy. They'll tell me.
The other thing is also some of like manufacturing and production processes. Like when they switch to lean manufacturing, and when you got the one guy, he does his job. It could take him, he scheduled an 8-hour shift. It takes him 2 hours to do his job.
Yeah.
He can't go do somebody else's job because that takes the work away from somebody else.
Well, that's one and then, you know, all these guys are sucking up all this overtime too.
Right.
Where they could hire more workers, but all these guys want to suck up the overtime. And I tell you, with that close, I mean, that is a serious setback. We'll talk about the setback in a minute.
Go ahead, caller.
Today down there, gentlemen.
Everything. We're talking. Anything's on the table. There's so much that.
Yeah, right.
Take your pick of the news this week.
Yeah, we're going back and forth on everything.
Yeah.
There's nothing coming through up in our area again.
What do you mean?
You're not coming through. I'm just talking to a gal with her dog and her baby while I'm rebooting my TV set again.
Really? I haven't been rebooting mine. You must be in a different. I'm not too far from you. I don't know why that's.
Since they've been working on that road and cutting it all up and all that.
Maybe they're cutting lines or something.
I have no idea.
They might be restructuring some of the lines. But how did you make out with the chief on that fire deal I was telling you about the burning?
Oh, you mean, I did talk to him, and he said, glad you brought it up. I ran into him, and he said he's going to send me a flyer, a paper, and I'm going to read it over the air. Roughly speaking, you can burn in the city of Erie, you can have what they call a recreational fire, not burning barrel.
Every day of the week, every night of the week?
As long as it's
contained.
Yeah, contained with a screen.
Well, this is not contained. It's just in a big old rim.
He said rims are okay if they're covered.
This hasn't been covered.
Okay. He said if you know.
The wood is close to his garage, and if a spark or an ember's flying that.
Yeah, if you think you got a problem, I would advise you to, give the chief a call.
Called the chief. I've called the assistant chief.
Well, give me the, John, call me if you want off the air, or if you want to give me the address now, I'll bring it to his attention.
109 East 41st Street.
East 41st?
Yeah.
It's close to the...
South corner.
Pardon?
Southeast corner.
Now, it's close to the garage when he's burning?
It's about 20 feet away.
Now, that may be okay.
With no cover?
Well, not with no cover, no.
But that's another story. I've been doing this for 3 years now.
Yeah, I'll talk. I remember when the kids were burning in the back of East 38th Street, the fire trucks would have to come out almost they were having like open bonfires.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't gone down, but you can smell it, and the smoke is atrocious.
Yeah, he said, because I asked him specifically, I said, I know they sell these kits.
No kit.
Where they, you put a nice...
No clay fire pot.
They have the fire pits with the screen that goes over top.
Yeah, that's when...
They can buy them at value and such.
Yeah, and I said, what about if they use a tire rim? He said, it would be permissible if it was covered properly. And you're not burning... you can't be burning like trash and papers and all that. It's designed for like small wood and just like a little campfire,
A lot of people are doing that.
Yeah, but it's kind of like they will come out if there's a hazard,
Well, I'll tell you what, the ordinances on that book are terrible. Just like you have speed signs all over the city saying 25 miles an hour. Now, have you ever voted in council to approve these signs?
The speed limit signs? That might have been done a long time ago.
I don't think so. Because they just stuck a sign up here in my neighbor's place.
Yeah.
Never heard anything above it or about it.
Well, I think years ago they must have passed a general ordinance to cover that, like, side streets with this speed.
I have no idea. All I know, if it hasn't been voted on...
Oh, no, I can tell you that. The only thing we vote on lately, John, are removal of... and they got to be careful because there's state highways and city highways.
Right, and if there's no ordinance or voted on, they're illegal. And if I get a ticket or whatever, I'm going to get my attorney and come down, and the city's going to eat it.
I'm going to check on the speed ordinances, okay?
And just like they're putting these signs in, permanent signs...
Which ones?
Who's going to take care of that grass and trim around that sign?
What signs? You mean the...
Speed zone sign.
If it's on that little strip of lawn?
Yeah.
That's you.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Then you're going to take care of it because
John,
that's supposed to... I'm being taxed.
Get the weed whacker out.
John, that thing's been fought over many times.
I'm being taxed for that property. They're going to come up and cut the grass around there.
That little strip of lawn, that right-of-way, they call it.
Yeah.
That-
I didn't get any money for that
You're
right
talking
away.
between the sidewalk and the
I
street.
think is that what you're talking about, John?
Yeah, between the sidewalk and the street.
Of course, some of us on the Upper East Side, we don't have sidewalks. I do, but some don't.
Right.
But that right-of-way up to the road,
Yeah.
that's a homeowner's responsibility, including the sidewalk.
Is it city property or is it homeowner property?
The city has what they call right-of-way, meaning...
I received no money. When I was working, if we had to get a right-of-way, we had to pay for that right-of-way.
Who? You mean the utility?
Yes.
Well, yeah, but yeah, that's true, John. The city will tax this to dig into the right of way, and that comes before council. Like we get them all the time. Like I'll give you an example. Erie Insurance is doing a lot of work up here, okay?
Yeah.
And every time that they go into the city right of way, or they want to run a tunnel under the ground, so their workers can, because there's
Right.
pedestrian tunnels.
They asked for a right-of-way.
Yeah, they have to ask us permission. There's a fee. However, you as a homeowner, here's what could happen. When I moved into my house, the utility pipes were on my neighbor's lawn across the street. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, he can't say no, you can't come on my lawn. That's what that means. So legally, they would come in, they would dig up his lawn, they would replace it, which they did. They reseeded it. But all that means is you can't say no to the city. And the right-of-way, if they ever decided they wanted to expand the road, they could take that right-of-way. Okay, that's what that means. But yeah, you technically still paying it, but you're responsible for the maintenance. That's been ruled on in court, John.
Well,
I know look, I can agree with you sometimes, but if you got a sign, or I had a sign for years, I had to whack around it.
Just like if a tree falls there, you're responsible for picking that. Even
it's why you're not allowed to plant a tree in the right of way without city permission.
If it's not on the street, you're SOL.
I don't know. Penalty planted a tree in my right of way.
Yeah, but they probably got permission I would guess they would have got permission from the city.
Yeah, it was to beautify.
Yeah, I mean, those things are
Now, who takes care of that tree if it falls over, seeing it's the city street?
Probably the homeowner.
I'm not sure. I really am not. I'd have to ask. That's
Depends on which way it falls.
I've been trying to get.
Falls on their property.
Well, I know you can't cut it without Sarah's permission.
I'll push it over on the city's property.
You better.
Hey, I'm talking about trees.
Well, they did pick up your stuff, I see, right?
Yeah, they did a nice job, by the way.
Yeah, I told him. I said, he's a nice guy, and
he did a super job, and he was all by himself. And there was a lot of blown down stuff there.
You didn't have to get his name, did you?
No, I didn't.
I like to thank the guys when they do a nice job.
No, he had a muscle shirt on, and he didn't have a sleeve, and he was wrestling in through that wood.
Yeah, they're a little behind because they're a little short-handed, and I don't know if they have all the summer help they normally do. So, I mean, the guys we don't have big crews here anymore like everybody thinks.
No.
Oh, they're not cutting 38th Street anymore.
I got a couple lawns cut this week. I saw it on, a couple complaints I put in. There's a couple more I'm not happy about that haven't been touched.
Yeah.
Well, the whole.
There's one up on Fargo yet, the place that burned down, and he said he was going to build an apartment building real quick.
Yeah, what is there? Where is that about, John?
On Fargo. Up about 41st Street, somewhere in there.
Okay, weeds, right?
Oh, yeah, they're about 18 inches high and growing.
Yeah, it's like, it's just bad everywhere.
The code enforcement
I want to
guys
get
are
back
kinda
to the
busy.
trees. Now, Sarah said she didn't have any money to cut down trees.
She has emergency money for certain
She
trees.
had emergency money to cut down trees. Okay. Now it's an emergency.
Well,
Yes,
no, John,
all kinds of trees
John, can I explain something to you?
on the State Street Boulevard. This was last year.
Yeah.
I'm getting into my crescendo.
Go ahead.
And now they went and cut all the trees on the 38th Street Island.
Yes.
From Pine Avenue all the way to State Street.
That was the state's
They give you the
request.
money?
I don't know if the state paid. They may have paid for that.
All right, now who's going to put them back?
They may not put them back. They haven't decided. I talked to Sarah. Council's been asking her because we get questions all the time. And the state has not decided what they're going to do with the boulevards.
Well, who's going to pick up the pieces of the cars and the people when they jump over in the wintertime and everything?
You mean the boulevards?
No.
Well, they may take the boulevards out. We're not sure yet.
So they're getting ready to put their finishing cap on.
We're at Boulevard's taking them where?
Well, the boulevards part of the boulevard I think is being removed near CVS. But then heading west.
That got removal from snow plowing and everything
Yeah, and I
else.
think they just decided to take it out. And I think going west, like, where you have in front of the VA and Home Depot and all that.
Yeah.
Not Home Depot, but
Value Home Center.
Value Home Center. There you go. Thanks, Dave. Those have not been decided yet, John. But I think apparently they're going to keep the boulevard, looks like.
Yeah, and I'm glad they haven't put the final cap on because guess what they're doing now?
So, I mean, I'll try to ask Leanne Parmenter or John Tujak. We've been trying to keep up on the project, but the state is, that's their baby.
The state can't even keep up on it.
No, they can't, but
When you hire outside help from Ohio, at Russell Standard and some electric company, they're up there cutting now.
Well, Standard's in Erie County, I do believe.
Yeah, they're in McCain, I think.
So it's just,
Here's how it works, John, with Sarah, though.
yeah.
Every year we give her a budget for tree cutting. We award that contract to 2 or 3 companies, depending on, if they're busy or not.
You awarded to Kunkel and Dahlkemper.
That's not always them. There's
You give it to the politicians.
no, there's different tree services that bid, and I've been there when they open up the bids.
Oh, yeah?
They're not fake. I mean, they put it out there. They say, There's Walters, I think aren't they one of the big ones?
Well, one thing, when the bidding process went down, I mean, it's legit because at the Anna shelter when that all went
if
down.
anybody didn't think it was legit,
Joe's on top of that. I mean, that was legit.
Well, we took a beating on that council. Those are back to the Humane Society.
Yeah.
Look, when I was controller, I was there when they opened the bids up. There's no hanky panky. The envelopes were sealed. They were secured. I mean,
that's one thing that you cannot screw around with that bidding.
And if they did it, God bless them, they had to be real good because
there's ways to get around that too.
Yeah, but John, really, I seen some surprises when they opened up the bids. What
the expected bid is to be, and then I'll undercut that expected bid by $400 or $500.
Well, John, you're absolutely every good businessman. You have to.
What's that?
You have to try to, you do your back talk.
Hey, you know what?
Then you know what but then again, so does everybody else.
I tell you, everybody accuses there's basically three people to get the streets bids.
Yeah.
McCormick and a couple others and Russell. But you know what? They're also razor thin tight. What it comes down to, and I've been there, some days the one company doesn't need the bid. They got enough work. So they bid just slightly higher and they're out of it.
And why do they repeat the streets they've just done in the last couple of years?
What did I see the other day? They were recutting one of the streets they just put the first coat on.
Yeah. Holland Street's being done again by the school.
Yeah.
That was just done a little bit ago. The street on State Street by the TV station, that gets done every third year.
Yep.
I mean, come on. Let the council decide. The heck with Mitchell.
Well, the problem is when you have the type of government we do, that's what happened.
Well, let's change that type of government.
Well, they tried it in Mill Creek. You see what happened.
Yeah.
It's a long process, and some people feel, what they say, John? They feel comfortable with the status quo.
Yeah.
Mill Creek should have been a city or a borough in that vote outcome.
Okay, let's get off the city stuff. I want to go to school district real quick.
Okay, don't take too long. I'll be yelled at.
This will be quick.
Okay.
How come they're going out and trying to get $1 million
for uniforms?
I can see the uniforms.
Yeah.
But I can't see the turf. Why can't you get someone in and put it in and put their advertisement in? And that's not even the school district.
Are you talking about the turf at the stadium?
I'm talking about the stadium.
I have not been at the stadium since I left the school board. Of course, I don't have a high school anymore. So I didn't go to any football games. But what was in the middle on the 50-yard line? I thought Pepsi had the advertising.
Pepsi had the pouring rights. Not now.
They used to have the end zone. There was no logo in there about...
No, but the company that put the turf in a few years ago...
Yeah.
They've had their advertising in. Now they say they need $700,000 for new turf. Who determines?
Well, here's the way it was set up, John. I can only tell you how it was when I left.
I'm going to call Harkins, believe me.
Okay, when I left office, the way the turf situation worked was we put in the first turf and it was done wrong. Not me. I wasn't on the board then.
No base properly.
You remember that when it was put in wrong?
Yeah.
Okay, so they had a giant, what we would call in the Army, a CF. Everybody was running around.
Was it Coca-Cola came in? Or?
Well, no, actually they put it out for bid. They were in trouble. So Coke and Pepsi bid, but if I remember right, Pepsi beat Coke.
Pepsi won.
Right. So what they agreed to do was, and everybody thinks they handed us money. They didn't. They lent us the money for the pouring rights. So when you bought Pepsi products in every school, which we had to switch over, or you bought them at any school event like Ainsworth or the stadium.
That's where the school district got their kickback.
Well, yeah, but here was that money came back to them
for the stadium turf.
But then they had to pay Pepsi back out of that.
Yeah.
So that was But when you look at it, John, hey, you know what? We screwed up, and we didn't have the money to fix the problem because they put those floating balls underneath there that you had.
It was waves in it.
Waves in it and everything.
Everything else.
Yeah, so when they did it right, what the plan was, and it did work, we turned over the operation of the stadium to the Stadium Commission. We took it out of the hands of the school board. We let them come up with a pricing structure to rent the stadium. And the money that was used paid for the first retrofit when they came back and did it, because they did fix it once. Because the first field wasn't stretched right and was out of,
Right. Oh, you get your money
money down there from advertising.
But they tried to advertise on a large scale, and they couldn't get anything going because they found out we don't get the attendance.
No, you don't.
So, I mean, if you had a choice between advertising in the Erie Civic Center, the Tullio Center at the time, the Erie Insurance Arena, would you take that or would you take the Erie Stadium?
I'd take the stadium.
Well, they didn't because they said you only had so many football games. They weren't drawing good. We couldn't get advertisers. We tried everybody.
Well, months of the year.
Well, you know what's coming.
Yeah, but John, they didn't have that many events in there for a while.
No, I mean, but you can still have it on.
Well, they'll sell the naming rights to the stadium.
They may. Well, that's
It's Veterans Memorial, but okay.
The only way they would sell that, they have to say like Hammett Medical Center, Erie Veterans Memorial or something.
Well, it could be Veterans Field.
When the Fazios ran that, we didn't have any problems.
Pardon?
When Art DeFazio and his brothers,
Yeah.
there was no problem. It was a great field.
Well, the problem they got is when they start putting 4 games a weekend on there.
Well,
Yeah, well, the turf brings up.
that's when the colleges came in.
Yeah, when the colleges came in, that ripped it up
But
pretty
they're
good.
gone too now.
Like Garvey wanted to buy Academy, said it was run down.
Yeah.
Till he found out that the stadium wasn't included in that. So then he bailed out.
Yeah.
Well, if you think about it, there'll be even less games at the stadium this year.
Because of prep.
Well, no. Well, not only prep, because there is no Easter Vincent anymore.
And they're changing the game times all the time, too.
Right.
Well, I understood that if they were going to have the evening games again for some of the schools, they were putting 50 calibers at each end of the stadium.
Oh, come on, John.
Hey, guys, have a great deal. Good to see you, John. I just saw you for a little bit.
Thanks. Good to talk to you, buddy. Long time. I haven't heard your voice in a while.
I'm getting ready to come on there and shake up the world.
That's what I want to hear, buddy. We need a little controversy around here.
Okay, take care.
Take care, John.
Yeah, there was the plan was that the stadium would always be able to be, it would live off the profits.
Yeah.
But now you got a problem.
Nobody plays there.
Well, you got less games. You got the City League games there, but, Prep has their own field.
I drive by there a lot on a Friday night, and there's nothing going on there.
Well, you see what happened. I mean, other fields are taking over.
Well, plus, like I just said, we have 2 less schools.
Yeah, when you don't have as many high schools or many people playing, you're not going to have as much.
That's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
Right.
So what's the only way for the stadium to generate revenue?
You need events coming in, and we don't have events coming in to do it.
Just like Jerry Ut Park. What is it now? UPMC Hammett Field or whatever.
Well, actually, years ago, I'm trying to think which hospital it was, put the scoreboard in.
Probably it was Hammett.
Hammett?
Yeah, it was Hammett.
And we had a offer. You're going to laugh. We had an offer from R.G. Reynolds or one of the tobacco companies. They were going to put state-of-the-art scoreboards in both Ainsworth and there. Yeah. And the school board at the time ruled no. You know why, though?
Well, because they're cigarettes.
Yeah.
But tobacco company, they didn't want to.
And see what's wrong with that stadium. What eventually was the problem with even Ainsworth was when he had a professional ball club there. It took what do they say, Hades and high water to get a liquor license there. So you could sell beer during a professional ball game.
Right, and they didn't want to do
That's
that.
on school
it's
district
property.
Yeah.
But they eventually relaxed that because you're putting them at a disadvantage, Right. And it was just different. But no, I agree with you. But when you look at the stadium, it's not a good soccer stadium.
Right.
It has no track, and even if it did have a track, it's not. You can't have a regulation track.
It has a track.
Huh?
It has a track, but it's just not regulation.
No, I think they took the track out of it.
They did?
Yeah, a long time ago. They used to have that was the argument that when they put the turf on there, they got rid of the track years ago. Okay? They don't have meets in there anymore. I think they run the meets over at McDowell or someplace.
I've been to the stadium maybe 5 years ago. I never even noticed if there was.
If they got a track, it's not a reg. It was a fifth of a mile when I ran years ago.
Right.
And, today you should have a 400 meter.
Yeah, right. Oh, I know it wasn't. It wasn't.
Regulation to be.
And you go behind Central and look at that one. You don't even know
with
if
the
that's
weeds in play.
Nobody knows if that's a 440, which my bet is.
Yeah,
It's not a 400. It's probably a 440.
yeah. But that track,
Yeah, and that's not really not used much anyway.
It is used a lot by the public.
Public walks on there, but
Yeah.
it's a disaster.
But years ago, I used to watch the National Guard would run their guys out there, or the police would have, time meets.
Yeah.
People would take their physicals there. You got no track now. You can't find it.
Well, it's sad, with, GE moving out. I mean, there's going to be a lot of changes coming to this community, and
Well, something's gonna have to give no matter what. I mean, when your biggest employer in the area,
yeah.
it downsizes half their staff, and they're not hiring anymore. They're just
Well, what areas
Bye.
what areas are going to take the biggest hit are your neighborhood, Cass, the Upper East. This is just city, the Upper East Side. But I'll tell you right now, Mill Creek. What's the area up there on the east side? Upper Mill Creek,
Bell Valley.
Bell
Bell
Valley.
Valley area. That's where all my friends that work at GE. That's where they live. Lawrence Park.
Lawrence Park's gonna get hit hard.
They're in big trouble. The Iroquois School. That is they're in big trouble.
The other day they claimed they're getting kids from the city out there.
Whatever. They better get kids from the city because.
But I got to believe long term, if GE starts to wipe out their buildings.
They're done. They're leaving. Don't give me this.
No, I said when they do that,
Oh yeah, it's coming.
when the taxes actually get affected.
Yeah, everything that I've heard and seen from GE is they're no longer doing any production whatsoever. It's just going to be prototyping.
And that's just bullshit. Crap.
It's going to be a R&D plant. If that, it's going to be there, do their repairs. That's it.
That'll be there.
And even that, who knows how long that's going to last for.
It's just it's part of the process.
See, I don't think they'll
They don't wanna-
ever leave totally because there's
They're
so
out.
much in the ground.
It's just a matter of time.
It'll probably be another hammer mill.
Why would they pay taxes and pay the bills and the upkeep and this and that when they can design somewhere else?
Well, I can't see their engineers designing here if they got another place somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, why would
They already outsourced all their engineers anyway. Half of them are coming from India and China. That's where they call would be India.
Well, that's where they're going to end up is India.
Yeah, they're going to India and China. They already have a plant building in
Yeah.
India.
And you take like on a little scale. Now they probably had their own airplane, but I'm sure from time to time they use commercial airlines.
Well, we didn't have that here.
Did they use ours? Or they had their own plane.
Well, that's one thing and with the runway, we should, there was people that talked about it, buying a commercial jet for them to use. Taxpayers spending money for just, for
Did
things
they have a
like
jet
that.
though, or did they?
Well, no.
Did their executives fly like?
Yeah, they would. Well, some of their executives had their own private planes, but, they would fly, just like everybody else.
But even on a small scale, that's going to hurt the Erie airport.
Absolutely. Everything.
I mean, even
Harder your trucking. I mean, every little small business that dealt with them.
I don't care if it's 5 seats on the airplane at one time or,
Yeah, that's the tough part is like all these small parts that all the small businesses were building for GE, they're no longer going to be building that anymore.
I'm telling you right now, Iroquois School District is in trouble.
It's going to hurt.
They're going to be in trouble.
We're not going to see this until probably another year from now.
We were joking years ago when they talked about the steel plant, and we said, how would you like to be the guy, we were talking about some other product, but how'd you like to be the guy that sold the hand soap to the steel mill?
Oh, yeah, I mean, that would be...
Or the paper products, the hand towels.
Mm-hmm.
So
It's the little guy that's going to take, some, Harbor Creek. I mean, the county, the city's going to get a whack too. You're going to see a lot of houses up for sale up in.
You already see that already. I mean,
Yeah,
you see a lot of houses already.
It's going to double.
And then, John, the guy that doesn't go to the movie theater, okay, or he doesn't go to the...
Yeah, he's not going out to fixing up his home anymore. He's not going out to dinner because he can't afford it.
And our
The main thing is to find something that's going to replace them or subside.
I mean, statewide, federally. I mean,
They keep looking for the home run ball in the city. I keep saying this.
I don't think we need the home run. We need small
But
to
everybody
grow
get a
to
single.
that.
But everybody does that. But yet you brought up a good point. Okay. All right. You got all these little businesses. You can name them. Smith's Hot Dogs,
Right.
all these local companies, okay? They can all grow bigger, okay?
Right.
It's like, well, I'll bring this up. Now, I've been getting nailed in the paper. Council. Erie Insurance asking us for a rezoning.
yeah.
What do I hear from the paper? We need to demand to know what they're doing. Well, I don't know about you, John, but I've taken a ride of what they've done in town.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I rode by here what they're doing in town.
Yeah, I don't think I need to ask them exactly their plans, because I don't think they're bringing in, what do you call it?
They're not bringing in family dollars. Let's just put they're bringing family sustaining wages.
They're going to do what they've been doing, which is they're either going to have what do you call it, classrooms,
they're growing,
offices, or
I mean,
I've heard a lot. The code enforcement guys. There's a lot of talk. Have you guys had a big crowd at your meetings?
No, we're going to get one. I heard.
Oh yeah, they're coming. Get ready. They're on their way.
And
and they're partly wrong, Kaz. I've heard on social media. Go ahead.
Let's go back to let's keep that one.
Okay.
Because I don't want that to go away. Okay. I want to talk about that.
Okay.
But let's talk about your insurance. I mean, how would you vote, John? I mean, here everybody's yelling about jobs. And you got a company that's going to pay taxes and create jobs, clean up an area that if I lived next door, I might be kind of happy.
A lot of people bring up the word gentrification. Okay, that's the popular buzzword now.
What does that mean? I don't even know.
It's like when the rich come in, take over where the poor is at, and then you take the life out of a neighborhood, and it just...
But there's no life in some.
The life has already been sucked out of the neighborhood.
Yeah, I mean,
I grew up, Kaz, the Balkan Bakery, gone. Levy's Market, gone.
John, if they were kicking...
The fishery, what's Jerry Mathers? His fish place?
The last fisherman.
The life and the guts of that community are gone.
If they did what like Vincent did, and there was no outrage. Vincent went to a nice neighborhood, okay? Mm-hmm. And I'm not blaming St. Vincent. They had their mission.
Right.
But they went in there and they took out a good neighborhood.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Hammett, though, and Ear Insurance, they're reacting to areas that are run down. Yeah. Okay? Yeah. Even Gannon, a little bit, hasn't really taken over bad neighborhoods.
Yeah, don't get me started on them.
But
you're right. I mean, when any city you go to, your waterfront has to be your main source of taxable income property. And down there as it is now, it's not.
No.
I mean, you get the main thing that's down there is you got the convention center that's a nonprofit.
Yeah. Well, we're talking down, way down. Like, I'd say from 6th down. Would you agree, Kaz, in that area?
Yeah.
That area, it used to be, but it's not what it used to be. And that's
the thing is everybody keeps looking at the good old days and what it used to be, and it's like we're not in the good old days anymore.
If they're willing to, they have that organization set up. They're not playing around, Kaz.
No, here's how I look at it, John. First of all, I get nothing out of them.
Yeah.
I'm not even I'll tell this publicly. I'm not even a policy holder.
Right.
I have no.
Right.
I look at it this way. Hey, they're a business. They haven't done anything to embarrass us yet. Everything they've done has been proactive and very, very straightforward.
Number one, they pay taxes. Hello.
I don't
Period.
People tell me, they're trying to get reassessed. Everybody is. Yeah. But at the end of the day, even if they do get reassessed, they're still going to pay more than they did.
The people that work there, they go out and they bring more tax revenue through their homes.
Well, the problem is, we got to get those people to move back in the city.
Well, right.
See, because under the state system right now, we don't get the income tax or anything.
But we got to take it. That's a whole nother topic.
Yes, it is.
But if they're willing, I would work. Erie Insurance, I would work with Erie Insurance. They've got people there that they have the ability to make some really big things happen. You know what I'm talking about.
You still got 10 minutes to call in if any you want.
Yeah. We've got one shot. We got one shot.
And what was the other thing you wanted to bring up before I cut you off?
Oh, the code enforcement.
Okay, what's your feelings?
I've been hearing a lot of that, they're just going on the Lower East and West Side, but they're not. They've been to my neighborhood too, and I don't live on the Lower East Side anymore. I live on 26th Street myself. So they're not only just rolling through those neighborhoods, they're rolling through our neighborhoods. But, a lot of people are saying, they're gentrification, but it's part of the Buki plan, correct? It's part of the plan where you have to go through.
Buki's plan is funny. Okay, if you look at the newspaper, they tell you one way. Yeah. People come up and they're looking at. Everybody looks at it a different way. I read that report and I read it twice. And I always tell a story. I was on an airplane, had nothing to do, so I read it 2 and 3 times, at least twice, real good. And you can take it for what it's worth. Yeah. Okay, it says a lot of things, but it's not the Bible. Okay, yeah. And what it says is, we should start in the yellow zone.
Yeah.
It doesn't say you don't go into the red zone.
Right.
And see other people say, oh, no, it said you start with the yellow zone.
Correct.
But you selectively look at the red zone.
Correct.
See, they forget that. It's like the
Right.
people that cite the, what's the amendment with the rifle? The
Second?
amendment to, bear arms.
Second
They
Amendment.
always forget the one sentence.
Right.
We all look at things the way we want it to. So,
It's all a matter of perception.
yeah, and the Buki report it's a guide, but it's not, if I have a problem with code enforcement, it's this. If the guy that's doing this, I won't mention his name, doing his job well. If it's true, he's wrote 1,100. Okay?
He was at my house, and
same guy?
I
Had to
didn't
be a
talk
different
to, It was a different. I didn't talk to him personally, but I saw the list.
I got to look at who's in your area, because if one guy wrote 1,100, okay, he's like the guy in piecework. When the guys at piecework say, "Can I talk to you in the back room?"
Yeah.
What do they do to him?
Yeah, they do.
Knock it off, right?
Right.
You're making us look bad.
Right.
Okay, if one guy can do that, and I don't blame these people for asking this question, what's the other 4 or 5 doing?
Yeah.
How come? We all got problems, and
My only point about that is, if they're not looking to, they should have been doing this little by little.
You're right,
Not
John.
just here's a list of
You're right.
20 things.
You're right, John. Go ahead, caller.
Hey, I had to get back on. I heard you talking about Erie Insurance
Yeah.
in the newspaper. Well, you can tell it's an election year. Because did you hear where Dahl Kemper said she's got that new deal ever since GE announced the 575 job terminations?
You mean her job creating program?
Yeah.
What does she think is, with all due respect to her, what does she think's going to change that GE didn't see? I mean,
Well,
the elephant in the room, John, is right to work state. I didn't say I was in favor of it, but that's the elephant in the room.
yeah, it has to be changed down in Harrisburg.
I mean, but the public has to decide, do they want that? Because, it's one thing to say we know what the problem is, but do we want that? Because if you have that, you've got to be prepared to have lower wages.
But why is she jumping on the bandwagon? Because it's an election year, saying that she has thoughts of doing this? Because it's an election year.
We should be doing that all the time. You know what?
A politician is a politician.
I've said this before. We should all be stewards. I do this all the time. If I'm on an airplane and I find out, or I'm out of town, I find out some guy is a agent for some company, I always ask them, did you ever look at Erie? And I want to find the reasons why they don't look at Erie. Why don't you bring your...
There's not putting out enough advertisement.
That's where the Erie Growth Chamber and those folks come in.
Well, there's so many of them that they're all over the...
We don't even have our information up on I-90, let alone in
We don't.
People are getting six-figure salaries down there with the chamber.
I wish I knew, John, but they're their own little entity,
You probably got Chafee and you probably got Roach. And I know I pronounced it wrong.
If I had ran for mayor, the one thing I would have wanted...
Roach ever since he came from Buffalo, along with John Oliver, too.
If I had ran for mayor, John, the one thing I would have insisted on is I would want all these groups to meet regularly and have one agenda. Because the problem we got now is we're like a shotgun.
Yeah.
We're all over the place, scattering pellets.
This one's zigging, this one's zagging, and nobody's zigging and zagging together.
Yeah, if you want,
Nobody's sitting and working together.
Well, no, like say you want to track an airline to the Erie airport. Okay.
To fill 1,000 feet longer so you can get under the FAA rules.
I talked to a guy yesterday who's I went to see that B-17, the one that was here from World War II.
I thought you flew on the Enola Gay.
No, I'm not that old, John, but I met some nice veterans, but I talked to a gentleman that's really involved in the air system. He opened my eyes up to a lot of things, and I'm saying, why aren't we doing this? Why aren't we, if we're out to target a Legion Air, or I'm not saying we're going to get them, but Frontier or Southwest or somebody, we all need to be in one room with them, not, 6 people doing in different directions. We need the city, the county. We need a committee of everybody together with one set of goals. Buki kind of said that. And that's what, people are getting mad about what's going on now. They say, we haven't had our community meetings in the neighborhoods. What we're trying to do is get everybody that's got a plan. And believe me, John, everybody downtown has a plan. Yeah. For everybody has their own plan.
Everybody's got their own ideas.
Right. Trying to get them in one room, what they call the war room, so that they could sit down and say,
what's our main goal?
Yeah.
What's
Are
our
we-
main
yeah.
focus?
They have the war room over at the county.
yeah, is my thing killing your plan?
Yeah.
That's in looking at business, if they come here, they got to think, what a joke. We got to deal with like a township, a county, a city,
The city and the county, they have to get their act together and start working together
and all the townships.
as a team.
We have to quit worrying about where the factory goes.
The city versus county mentality
Is still there.
Is killing us. The city versus Mill Creek, I mean, they all think they're in like this plastic bubble. They don't
all
realize.
separate.
Well, you've seen that with
They all
the
act like they're separate. I mean, as soon as you go across the border, I mean,
Yeah.
even 4th of July.
Yeah.
Where did Mill Creek have their fireworks? Right on Pittsburgh Avenue, right on the border of the city, just to show, hey, guess what? We're doing it because you guys aren't.
Well,
who cares about stupid fireworks?
Well, what they
No,
did
but
say
I mean,
was,
that's
I'm not saying
that's
about
the,
you,
that's
but-
the ideology
Yeah.
though that I've seen is being from out of the area.
A pleasant surprise when they can be affordable.
Hey, John, we do Erie Days fireworks. Nobody does that. We have an Erie Day, and I saw the people
we
were
do
complaining.
fireworks 3-4 times a year.
Yeah, I mean, what do people want? I mean, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm glad we don't do fireworks.
No.
Let people, let Mill Creek get a little something. Let people go out to Lawrence Park and spend a little money out there and do something.
Well, what's
and
crazy-
they all come here during Erie Days
What's
and
crazy-
support our festival.
I had a reporter come up to me, and they were outraged, and I'm going, well, who does the mayor go after? The same people who are doing Celebrate Erie? So you got to hit them up 2 or 3 times? So I looked at them, I said, is your station or your newspaper willing to put the pony up the money, right?
The more I'm on social media, Kaz, you cannot, people.
I hate to even look at it anymore.
Honestly, I get sick of it sometimes.
Yeah.
There are people, you have your citizens against virtually everything. You could come have the greatest ideas since sliced bread, and you'll have a faction out there that's terrible idea. Right, John? Would you agree?
Since First Energy or Penelec took their hat out of the ring with all that free money.
Well, first of all, companies don't have money to toss around.
Right, not anymore.
I mean, the government on the federal level is, people here's what gets me. People complain about national fuel advertising on TV, right?
They're getting their message across.
Right, but they argue about that, and then they want them to, because of what they complained about, which meant that the government said, well, you really can't put money into advertising when you're the only animal in the park, the only game in town. So then when they yelled them for not putting money into fireworks, well, you created that. You can't have both ways.
We don't need fireworks on 4th when we're having the biggest festival in the area a month later.
Everybody should share.
People complain. I swear to God, people are. I just sometimes wish I could just scrap them.
It's just the ideology though that you've got the city's got its own thing and then Mill Creek's got its own thing. They're not working together.
Right.
Same with same with Lawrence Park.
I'll tell you what, Mill Creek's getting some new people out there. There are leaders out there.
They're putting Baldwin Brothers contributing and all these other places, the MYAA.
Yeah.
But the city could do the same thing. They could have one raffle or a couple picnics. You can buy this, and the existing funds will go into a certain area for different games and amusement down the road.
Yeah.
But is that legal?
That's a good question.
I don't think so.
I don't think it is, but
I don't think so.
John, in the old days when the city was number one, we did all this stuff.
For sure, and look what we had. We had fishing, we had all kinds of restaurants. We didn't have block parties every night to donate a few bucks to this outfit or that outfit to make it look good.
And what parking lot in the city are you going to put fireworks at? Okay? Because when you think about it, the only place we could do it was along the bayfront.
People don't understand. When I did the Perry 200, I did all the 3 all around town, so I know a lot about this.
Yeah.
You don't realize the undertaking it is
Like,
to put on a fireworks display.
Dave Rockwell would tell you.
Dave would know, absolutely.
Just to put it over the fire, we have to call the Coast Guard in.
Your Coast Guard has to be, the insurance, you have to have fire,
The Peninsula,
emergency, Coast Guard.
the state.
Yeah, this isn't just go buy some sparklers.
No.
This is a major undertaking, but the people...
It takes like a year in advance to do it.
Yeah, the people down, they got the infrastructure set up pretty good down with the Port Authority, where they get, they just call boom, boom, boom,
But
boom.
what parking lot in the city would offer you an
Hills
ADU?
used to do it, or where Value City is, used to do
But
it.
that's even limited, though.
Can't do it anymore.
Breaking news.
The insurance is so outrageous for that to do in the city, especially in the middle of the city.
Well, yeah. That's why Mercer's got out
People
of it.
complain that go to Fairview, go to Mill Creek, spend a little money, and then when it comes time for Erie Days, you bring the fam down here and spend a little money down here. We all work together, or we're done.
Italian is out.
The what, John?
Cute Italian. Anthony Scaramucci.
Is he out?
Already?
Yeah, he's done.
What happened? What happened, John?
I don't know. It just flashed over.
He's really out?
He's out.
What? Well, hey.
Hey, this is going to be, you know what? You can't.
It's down to Omarosa and Brett Michaels now.
Hey, can we get this?
I told you for
can we
chief of staff.
Hey, can we get these guys
Omarosa.
can we get these guys down to juniors?
This is too much. I gotta go play solitary.
Okay.
Have a great night, guys.
It's down to Omarosa and Brett Michaels now for chief of staff.
This is,
It's a game. It's a television show. Well, I think we're out of time. Kaz?
David, you want to say anything before we?
Nah.
I want to thank you. You going to come on again?
Oh, of course.
How about you, John?
Yeah, I'll try to stop down. I was in the neighborhood.
I think we're not going to be on next week unless
Okay.
we come up with a replacement, you know.
Are you dropping me hints?
I didn't say that.
We'll see.
Sounded like it.
No surprise guest, so.
Yeah, we'll get banned. We'll be barred. Yeah, just me and Dave. Was it Dave? I'm
Yep,
sorry.
Dave. Yep.
Maybe me and Dave will hang out.
Yeah, I mean, it was very insightful. I wish we had more callers today, but.
No, actually, it was good. We got to talk about a lot of different things. Well, it's a beautiful day. People got better things to do
It's
than
a
watch
gorgeous
this
day
show.
outside. It's,
Yeah.
Things going well this week.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. Dave, nice to meet you. Good job
Nice meeting you
today.
as well. Thanks
Geez,
for coming on the show.
you got that one guy to like you? I mean, that's.
Yeah, I know. I didn't have to pay him or
He
not.
usually gets mad at me for a couple of things, but.
That's good, Kat. You got to have a little controversy once in a while. People won't watch if you can't be the same. You got to be controversial at times.
Little difference here and there. Yeah.
I mean, you've got
Discussion and
paparazzi
working
following
things
you.
out.
I saw Kaz at the Erie Club picnic. Paparazzi was following them around.
Taking pictures and everything.
Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks, Kaz, for having me.
You too, and we'll
Thanks
see.
for coming on the show.
Hopefully, you guys, feel free.
Okay. We'll come in next week.
And we want to thank, of course, our behind-the-scene guy, Mike.
Has Mike ever been on screen?
He won't come out. Can't get him to come out.
Kaz has tried it. Won't come out.
He's holding out for more
I
money.
got a booth built for him back here with headphones,
Yeah. Oh, like the talk shows, like the sports talk
Won't
shows.
come out, though. Well, we'll see you again next.
Take care, guys.
Hopefully, maybe next week, but 2 weeks for sure.
We'll see. Where's that cool music at? I love that tune.
Nah, he only does it at the beginning.
There it
goes.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have been watching the Taxpayers Hotline Show on Erie's own Government Access, Channel 9.